and staying to time. Isn't she good? Thank you. And that discussion just reminded me that we are 26 years later still calling for a federal privacy bill. Wouldn't that be nice? We could join the rest of the world in having national privacy legislation, upon which online safety bills like COSA and others could be built. Anyway, in the meantime, I think we're still shut down, the government. Anyone? Got any updates on the government? No, it's in the balance. Democrats are unhappy. That's okay. All right, okay. How are we feeling? All right. So, no, I shouldn't do that. So, we're switching gears again. And next, I'd like to introduce Raja Bose. He is the Senior Manager of Systems Experiences from Apple to kick off our next session. Raja, where are you? Thanks.
Thank you, Stephen. Hello. Good afternoon, everybody. Very nice to see you. My name is Raja. Such a great privilege to both to join you all here as we dive into these incredibly important topics, and also to represent a large group of people back at Apple who focus every day on the parental controls and tools that we make available for families. Today, I want to give you a closer look at all the ways that Apple helps families protect kids, and by kids I mean both children and teens as they explore online, and then dive into some of the big enhancements that we made recently in this space as well. So we take a step back. iPhone, iPad, Mac, these are powerful tools that parents and kids are relying on every single day as they explore their productivity, their creativity. We know they're powerful tools for learning, whether they're at home or at school. They've changed where and how and when kids learn, which is why for many years we've focused on helping families build healthy relationships with technology, but do so in a way that protects the privacy and the safety of children as they grow. Now, we understand that every family is different, and so over the years, we've built a set of industry-leading controls for parents to create experiences that align with their values and their parenting style. And many of these protections are actually on by default, so they have a safe experience right from the start. Now, you may recognize a few here, things like screen time and Find My and age ratings on the App Store that have been around for years, and we'll talk about some of those as well as some of the new enhancements that have come around over the past year as well. But we know that just going and building a bunch of tools is only half the battle. Parents, caregivers, families, they need to know that they exist and what they do and how to get the most out of them. And that's why we've set up a dedicated website on apple.com/families that goes into the details with tips to help families get started. There's user guides with step-by-step instructions. There's videos on YouTube. If anybody happens to live close to an Apple retail store, you can always step in, and any of the retail experts are there to help provide education and help you get started as well. So, with all of that as context, let's talk about what we have in store today. Today we want to give you a closer look at some of these enhancements that we just introduced that make these tools even more powerful. So today we plan to focus on how we're helping more kids get onto child accounts, great new enhancements that we've made to these parental controls, and our latest updates on the App Store that help ensure that kids are having age-appropriate experiences when they're discovering apps. So let's start with child accounts. So for many years, we've supported these specialized variants of accounts called child accounts. And these accounts really are the foundation of all the safety tools that we offer. They're automatically enabled for kids under the age of 13, and that includes a whole set of default protections right out of the gate. And these span the ecosystem across the App Store, and content restrictions, and screen time. There's a lot here, but I'll just call out a few specifically. So we'll limit access for kids to adult websites by default. We turn on communication safety, which helps protect them from encountering nudity in images and photos that may be sent their way. Ask to buy, that means they need to go and request parental approval for apps they want to download, whether that's free or paid, or make in-app purchases as well. And on the App Store, they can only browse apps that are rated 4+ or 9+, depending on their age. Now, the best part is that parents don't need to worry about having to find all this and set it up. It's just all done automatically, and it's also super easy to set this up for kids between 13 and 17 as well, and tailor it according to your needs. Now, when setting up a new device for a child, this year we've actually made this process even easier as well. So when a parent starts to set up a new device for their children, they'll now be prompted right out the gate to identify the age range of the primary user. And if they choose that this is going to be for a child or for a teen, well, they'll be asked to connect to their family by creating an account right then. And this really helps parents take full advantage of the whole set of parental controls that we make available. But we also know that parents are busy and they may not always have time right then and there to help a child get set up and onto a child account. But we know that kids are also really excited when they get their hands on a new device, and they may be a little bit impatient. So in those instances where a parent chooses that they'll need to connect later, we'll still immediately enable these age-appropriate safety features right out of the gate. So right out of the gate, a child can browse the web with those content filters, web content filters at play. They can use apps like Pages and Numbers and Notes for their classwork. And parents can feel confident that children can use their iPhone or iPad in a way that's done safely without any of these apps collecting personal data and sharing it back with themselves or with Apple. And when a child attempts to then go and later download an app off the App Store or use any service that may require an Apple account, well, then they see that same screen again, reminding them that they need to connect to a family and that the parent needs to set up their child account so they can take advantage of all those tools. So that's how setting up a child's Apple account is even easier this year. Now, we also know that some children may be using a device that has an Apple account that maybe wasn't configured with the right age information. Maybe it was configured for an adult in the house and it's now a hand-me-down for them. Well, when that happens, that gets in the way of all these parental controls working accurately. So a good clue this might be the case is if a parent is using a credit card to buy them an app, and that credit card's already associated with a different account, or they're trying to set up a screen time passcode for them. That's a pretty good indication this is actually for a child. And in those cases, we'll now put up a prompt like this that really helps parents get those kids onto a proper child account in the moment and lean on all those parental controls that are available. Now, we talked about turning on a number of these safety settings by default for kids under the age of 13. Well, now kids ages 13 through 17 will also have similar age-appropriate protections enabled from the beginning. Things like those web content filters and communication safety and getting access to apps that meet only a specific age rating on the App Store. So with these child accounts in place, again, that's what allows parents to take full advantage of all the parental controls that are available. And we have a whole set of apps and tools that let parents manage these experiences for children. And I won't go into all of them, but at a high level, screen time, that's really the home for all the tools for managing how children spend their time on devices and what content they can access. Now, after a parent sets up all the screen time settings, they then set up a passcode to ensure that those stick. Well, we know kids can be motivated to be super sleuths when they want to, and they look over your shoulder and discover that passcode. Suddenly they got the keys to the kingdom. That's a problem, right? Well, we made an update this year to help parents get ahead of that. So now we notify a parent every single time a screen time passcode is placed on a child's, or input on a child's account. And if that comes as an expected thing, great. If it doesn't, good time to go chat with the child about some boundaries and maybe change that passcode as well. So in addition to that on screen time, there's this concept of communication limits, which helps parents manage who their children are talking to. And with our latest releases, we've made this even easier as well, because we know you're not always sitting right next to your child when they might get a text message from somebody new. So now when your child tries to add a classmate from school or maybe join the group text for their soccer club, well, you can review that and approve that with a single tap in the Messages app. And then another important protection is communication safety. So this works in places like Messages and AirDrop and more to detect nudity in images or videos that children may receive or maybe even be attempting to send. And so if nudity is detected, then communication safety intervenes. That image, that video is blurred, And it creates a moment for the child to think, alongside resources that help provide guidance and support in what might be a potentially vulnerable situation. And for children under 13, if they still choose to tap through and view that image, it still requires that a parent enter the screen time passcode for them to be able to do so. Now, this feature is designed with privacy in mind. It's all done entirely on device. Apple does not learn if a specific message has nudity or get access to that content either. Now, in our latest releases this year, Communication Safety now also detects and blurs images and video that might be shared as part of a shared photo album, because we know that that sometimes is a vector as well, and provide the same warnings and resources. We're also bringing Communication Safety to live FaceTime calls. So if nudity is detected on a FaceTime call, Communication Safety again intervenes, makes it easy for a child to end the call and get help. So with content and privacy restrictions as well, parents can decide what content their children can access, and they can manage purchases and downloads as well as set privacy settings. And this is home to a really powerful new feature that we introduced this year, which is the ability for parents to share the age range of the child with apps in a privacy-protected way. So parents can choose if and how often kids can share this with apps and then change their preferences at any time. And with this feature, apps can then request and utilize this information to help them prevent kids from being exposed to content that may be inappropriate for their age. And depending on the parent's information or preferences, that information will either be shared automatically or the app will be required to explicitly ask each time. So another powerful example of something we've designed with privacy at the core. It will only be shared if a parent chooses to do so. If a parent chooses to change their mind, they can do so at any time. And what's really key is that no personal information for the child is shared, like their actual birth date. That stays private. So all these protections that we just walked through, things like communication limits, communication safety, and the ability to share your age range information, these are all available to developers to help them ensure that they can provide these age-appropriate experiences in their apps. And so earlier this year, we created a new website that's dedicated to developers to gather all of these tools and frameworks all into one place so they have a very easy way to go and look up what they need to do. Now, in addition to screen time and communication limits, communication safety, privacy restrictions, we also have tools like downtime that are really about helping kids wind down their device usage, make time for important things like rest and relaxation. Ask to buy. This is a way to give kids a seamless way to ask their parents for approval when making app purchases. You can use always allowed to specify the apps and contacts your children should always have access to, even when they're in downtime. Find My. This helps you see your child's location and get location-based alerts. I use this every day. My kids started biking to school this year. We get an alert when they arrive at school in the morning, when they get home in the afternoon. It just breathes a lot easier as a parent. And then we know that you're constantly making changes as your children mature and get older and you want to give them more agency. We have a recommended for your family checklist that pops in to help you make sure you're taking advantage of all the tools that are there, and as they hit new milestones in their age, we'll make recommendations on how you might get even more out of these tools to give them the right experience. So that's our powerful set of parental controls. And so finally, I want to end by talking about the App Store. So for over a decade, the App Store has been a safe and trusted place for kids to go and discover new experiences online through apps. And there's a ton of apps for kids to explore their creativity and get a leg up as they learn. Now, every app that's submitted to the App Store goes through a thorough review process that checks for things like safety, performance, design, privacy, ensuring that they meet the highest standards. Now, the App Store also includes this category for kids called Made for Kids, and it's a great way to find apps that are designed for kids who are under the age of 11. And app developers who want to have their app show up in this category need to meet an even more stringent level of requirements there. And just to call out, no apps on the App Store are allowed to track children for advertising or share any data with data brokers. Now, this year, we've updated the experience for kids on the App Store as well. So when app content restrictions are set for a child, apps that have an age rating that exceeds that will no longer appear on the App Store in places like the Today tab or the Games tab or the Apps tab or any editorial content like that. Now, we also talked earlier about Ask to Buy, in which a child needs to ask permission and a parent or a guardian approves that request from their device or right on the child's device. We've expanded how Ask to Buy works as well with even more control. So now, parents can grant an exception for a child to download an app with an age rating that exceeds the restrictions that are set for them. So let's say a child needs the Fit Life app for their soccer club. Well, a parent can approve the app. And then later, if they decide, you know what, this is probably not the right experience, they can revoke it at any time and that app just immediately disappears right off the child's device. Now, lastly on the App Store, we have a global age rating system, and it has 4 thresholds, and 2 of them you'll notice are for adolescents, 12 plus and 17 plus. And what we heard from users and developers is they're looking for even more granularity to reflect the wide range of needs and maturity really among this cohort. And so this summer we updated these, so now we have 5 with 3 ratings associated for adolescents, 13 plus, 16 plus, 18 plus. So this allows parents to have a more granular understanding of the apps that their children are exploring, and developers a more precise way to rate their apps as well. So ratings are required for all apps on the App Store. You'll find the rating in the ribbon of the top of the product page, and you can use that to scroll down and go to the details section to learn more about what informed that rating. So here's also where developers can indicate other things their apps include, things like user-generated content or messaging or advertising as well, because those are things that parents will likely want to know about as they approve apps for their children to use. Or even if these apps offer things like parental controls or age assurance. So that's the updates to the App Store, and wrap up at a deeper look at all the parental controls and features that we offer for families. I want to thank you and say I appreciate you for letting me step you through all the work that we offer here. We know our work here is never done, and so as this landscape continues to evolve, we remain committed to pushing ahead on all these tools so that kids have great, safe experiences as they go online. So, thanks so much.
Thank you so much. That was fascinating and also a first. I don't believe we've ever had an Apple presentation at a FOSI event, so this was super exciting to see all of these developments. And we're going to continue with a little bit of a conversation, and we're going to bring an old friend of mine, Kim Scardino, up as well, just to talk a little bit more. So, Kim, you and I go back a while.
We go so far back.
So Kim is the Global Online Safety Council at Apple, which you've been there now how many years?
I've been at Apple for 11 years.
11 years.
Yes.
Previously, you were at the FCC. I don't know why I'm telling you this, but she was previously at the FCC. And even more interestingly, from 2008 to 2010, she was the Director of Policy and Development at Bose. So this is a full circle moment for the both of us. So welcome.
Yeah,
welcome,
it's so
Kim.
nice to be here. It's
Oh,
so great.
brilliant.
When I was working at FOSI, my daughter was 4, and she's now 21.
How did that happen?
So I've been through all the experiences online.
All right. Well, again, thanks for that presentation. Let's dig a little deeper
Sure.
with both of you here. It's great to hear that Apple is continuing to make so many important updates. Can you both share a bit about the development of these tools and why are you doing it now? Who would like to start?
Sure, I'll start. So Apple has been providing industry-leading tools for a number of years. We actually introduced family sharing in 2014. We introduced screen time in 2018 and communication safety in 2021. You heard Raja speak about all of these features. We're continuing to make updates. We've been hearing all day about how this is a very complex, evolving landscape. So we know that it's important to keep pace. We're constantly talking to stakeholders to stay ahead of harms and threats. And we want all of our users to have a really good experience with our products. So one of the reasons we're here today is we take this role very seriously and are very focused on online safety. And all the things that you heard from Raja today are just some of the recent updates we have. And one of the things that's so exciting about it, they're live now, all the features that you talked about. None of them are coming, they're live now.
All right.
And
Did you want
just
to
add, just to what Kim was saying, we continue to push forward here. We know there's new tools for both parents and developers, and as you heard, we've taken a lot of these protections and actually turned them on by default, so they're even easier for parents to take advantage of right out of the gate. Some of these features like communication safety, that's really about shielding children from sensitive content on there. We know that that's important both within the system, but also for apps to be able to take advantage of. And that's why we've also made it easy for them to integrate that with tools and APIs as well.
All right. Well, talk to us about parents. I mean, what's the easiest way for parents to get started with these controls, and what resources are you guys offering to help parents navigate this complex world?
I can start us off. You know, if I could sit down with every parent and every caregiver and just distill the whole thing down to them, I'd say it comes down to 3 things. Number 1, make sure your child is on a child account. Number 2, check their screen time settings. And number 3, enable age assurance with apps on the App Store. And so if we break that down, getting on a child account, if you're setting up a device for the first time, the onboarding flow makes that really easy, and you know you'll end up at a great space with your child on the proper account there. But we also know that a lot of children are inheriting devices. We saw some flows that make it easy for parents to ensure that they get their child to the right place on that child account, so that when they do, they can take full advantage of all those parental controls, the whole suite that we offer there. As far as checking their screen time settings, you know, screen time really is where parents can manage which apps their children can access, when they can access them, how long they can access them. And when they've set it all up, they just put it behind a passcode, and we saw now there's new features in place to help ensure that that passcode stays secure and parents can breathe even easier there. And then as far as enabling the age assurance capabilities on the App Store that we talked about there, this is really a huge update in terms of giving parents the ability to choose how their kids can share that age information with developers, so that developers can use that information in the moment and automatically adjust what their app is showing in order to deliver an age-appropriate experience. And this is done in a very privacy-preserving way. That's built right at the core. And so this is all about keeping parents in control of their personal data and their kids' personal data there. So,
and we know parental education is really important. We actually have numerous ways for parents to find resources. We know sometimes parents just want to find it when they need it, right? So you can search across our platform for any resources for, like you were just talking about the Declared Age Range API. We have an article focused on how parents can send that age signal, share that age signal. We have YouTube tutorial videos. Basically, if you search for it, you're likely going to find it about all of our features. And we know this is a really important issue to get the word out. So we have folks at Apple that meet with the press and creators and stakeholders. We have a trust and safety team that works with experts. Part of my role is to go out and make sure that we're meeting with the right folks. But so we take in all that user feedback, and we really, really want parents to know about all of these rich resources that we have available to them and their families, because we know that not all families are the same, and everybody may have different reasons for looking for different content that they're looking for settings. And so we have numerous resources. We have child safety resources that sit right in settings as well that you can look for as well.
Cool. All right, well, you mentioned privacy. Let's talk about privacy. Apple's consistently highlighted the importance of user privacy, both in your features, but also in legislation as well. What's driving that? I mean, what should people understand about the risks out there?
Sure, so I can start.
Sure.
So privacy and safety are core values of Apple. Everything that we do is designed with privacy and safety from the beginning. You were talking earlier about like quickly creating features and products. That's not how we work. We're very careful in the design of everything we do. We know that one of the reasons that people love Apple is because we have a data minimization principle, which is in essence that you should only collect the amount of information necessary for that feature or service to work. That's a core component. We also have privacy and safety requirements in our App Store guidelines that we rigorously enforce, because it's a very important piece of it. But on the privacy side, especially when it comes to age assurance, from our perspective, we do not believe that someone should have to show ID in order to access things like the news or weather. That doesn't have age-inappropriate content, and so therefore you should not be required to show any kind of identification to access that, because it would be inconsistent with privacy-preserving principles like what you have in your white paper.
Which is a great segue to the next session, but did you want to?
No.
Okay. Well, okay. So you guys have to be engaged with all of the stakeholders across users, lawmakers, App Store developers, you name it. How does Apple view your own roles and responsibility regarding online safety?
Well, we believe that everybody has an important role to play in this, whether that's Apple, whether that's users, parents, developers, and it's really in service of the commitment to that responsibility that we embark on things like bringing this declared age range API forward. I know I'm using the word API, and perhaps not everybody knows what an API is, but if you step back, this is really just tools for developers to be able to take advantage of the fact that a parent has chosen to be a child to be able to share their age range with them so that they can go and do the right thing and create the right age-appropriate experience. Now that said, there are some apps who may need to get information from a government-issued ID or other form of identification in order to deliver the app experience that they need to. And in this case, the declared age range API doesn't replace that. It in fact adds to the whole toolkit that developers have, in addition to all the third-party tools that they're leaning on there. And so again, we want to make it really easy for developers to know what options are available to them and which ones come from Apple. And so you saw the website earlier that brings together all the tools and frameworks so that developers can know how to get the most out of all the tools that are available there.
Brilliant.
And our declared age range API that Raja was mentioning is narrowly tailored, it's privacy preserving, and it's data minimizing. We think that's really important. Some of the proposals that we've seen require an ID to access anything. And we don't think that that's consistent with the privacy preserving approach. Our contribution here is the declared age range API for developers. We have, as Raja shared earlier, we've created a lot of documentation available about how to use it and how it works, also for parents. And so we know this is a complex issue, and one of the things we love about FOSI is you bring everybody together to have this important conversation. It's a shared responsibility, and we take our responsibility very seriously, and that's why we're here today talking about it.
Oh, it's amazing. Okay, well look, we have a couple of minutes left. As we wrap, what thoughts, advice do you have for parents, caregivers, the folks out here, in any area of online safety?
Well, at the risk of sounding like a broken record to everybody here, number one, make sure your kids are on the child account, check their screen time settings, and enable age assurance on the App Store. If you do that, you'll have a solid foundation. And from there, on apple.com/family, there's tons of great information about how to get started with all the parental control tools, how to take advantage of all the defaults that are just done for you, and just make sure you're getting the most out of everything. So,
cool.
And I'll just close by saying thank you, Stephen, because just the fact that you convene these conferences every year, I mean, I'm biased. I actually think this is one of the best conferences out there because it is the whole industry together trying to solve these complex problems. So thank you to FOSI and the staff and all the research that you do. We're just very honored to be a part of it and to present here today. So thank you.
Wow. Please join me in thanking Kim and Raja.
Thanks.